welcome to Catch All Media. My name is Andrew, and in today's video, we're talking all about Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. First up, let's talk about this physical release. This is a 4K edition coming from Universal Studios. This also has a Criterion release, but it is only the Blu-ray edition so far. This was $15 at Best Buy, so I went ahead and picked it up so I could future-proof the collection. I'm not 4K yet, but this does come with the 4K digital code and Blu-ray. So if you're not 4K yet, but you want to future-proof your correct collection, this is a good price right now at Best Buy. So let's talk about the cast first. This is written, produced, and directed by Spike Lee, which makes this a Spike Lee joint. And the cast in this is spectacular. So besides Spike Lee, you also have John Turturro, Danny Aiello, Ossie Davis, Ruby Dee, Giancarlo Esposito, Bill Nunn, and John Savage as Clifton. The casting in this I thought was really superb. This was made in the early 90s, I believe. Let me double check because I don't want to mess that up. But from what I could tell, 1989. Okay, so this was made in the late 80s. But you get a lot of that late 80s, early 90s vibe in this as far as the costumes go, and a lot of the music and the composition for the movie as well. Has a very nostalgic, but doesn't take away from the movie, late 80s, early 90s feel to it. With this release, you also get about 4 hours of bonus features. Full disclosure, I did not watch any of the bonus features because this week I did watch this, and the next night, back to back, I watched In the Heat of the Night. So I did not have time to watch all the bonus features, but included, you get a Spike Lee introduction, you get Do the Right Thing 20 years later, deleted and extended scenes, you get behind the scenes, you get a making of the riot sequence, and then you also get feature commentary with Spike Lee, and it says and more on here, so there must be even more features. So it's jam-packed with features. If you put this up side to side with the Criterion, I'm not sure which one would be superior, but if you're looking at them side to side with this release, you do get all 4 of the hours of bonus features, and then, like I said, you get the 4K, the Blu-ray, and the digital code. So for me, this made more sense, especially at the price point being $15. The movie opens with a fantastic introduction from Public Enemy's Fight the Power, and then you see who would go on to play Spike Lee's girlfriend or love interest in this movie on about a 2 to 3 minute dance scene, which was very enveloping. It kind of just sucked you in, and you just, we're along for the ride from the beginning. So then the movie opens and we meet a lot of our characters. We meet Mookie, who is played by Spike Lee, who's working at an Italian pizzeria in this very tough Brooklyn neighborhood that's, mostly a black neighborhood, but there's also some white people in it. And, this Italian pizzeria is one of the few white establishments from the movie tells us that is in this Brooklyn neighborhood. So a lot of the tension that we see throughout this movie is racially based. And, at points in this movie, it was uncomfortable just because of how racially based it was. And I know when this came out, this was a very influential, very groundbreaking type of film in the time that it came out. And you can still get a lot from this film. And I think that it stands the test of time until today in 2020, being about almost 40 years later. So I think that with a lot of the racial undertones and blatant racial overtones in this movie, that it sets up a very tense atmosphere throughout the whole movie. And we start and we can kind of see it building. The heat is a big element in this movie. Side note, it was also a big element in Heat of the Night, which I double featured with this as a celebration for Black History Month of February, as well as celebrating Sidney Poitier from his late death earlier this year, unfortunately. Much like the rest of my reviews, this one is going to be spoiler-free as well, but I do want to talk about the movie as a whole. Overall, I thought this was a great movie. I really enjoyed the pacing in it. I enjoyed the characters. I thought it was very much a character-driven movie, of course, because this whole movie takes place over one day in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, as we follow Mookie on his, day-to-day life, and we get to know the neighborhood, and we see a conflict arise between one of Mookie's friends known as Buggin' Out, and he has an issue with the fact that in the pizzeria, it is full of Italian Americans or Italians, and there is not a single black person on the wall of fame. So that becomes our big fighting point in this movie as the movie progresses. So as we go through the movie, that is what tends to make things a little bit more tense, and the tension grows, and we get John Turturro's character Pino, who is playing one of the sons of the pizzeria owner, who is also very racist. He's a big driving factor in the tension of the the racial tension that grows in the movie, because he's very angry. He doesn't want to be in this neighborhood. He doesn't want to work for his father in this establishment, and that begins to have a great effect on this movie and where it goes. I thought the pacing in this movie was terrific. All the character work in here was amazing. I mean, you meet so many colorful, so many very well developed characters. From the clothing themselves, as far as some of the color design and a lot of the wardrobe design, really pushed along the melting pot kind of atmosphere that this movie was creating, and showing that tension between all of these different cultures colliding in one spot. I mean, we see some tension between Radio Raheem, which is a character that we get to know, as well as a group of Hispanic gentlemen who are out on the block, and they end up having what ends up being a boombox battle, which is a fantastic scene. But we see this melting pot, which does end up driving this main theme of the movie, which is racial tension and the quest for peace, as far as just among people. So that is a giant driving factor in this movie. I thought that the way that the movie was composed, with a lot of the camera angles, he used a lot of Dutch angles, a lot of tilt angles, was fantastic. And that was the main driving factor and why I wanted to watch this, to be honest with you. I am studying film. I bought a camera. I'm trying to learn how to make film, how to compose film, just because I'm so interested in it. So this was a great learning tool for me, as far as seeing the tilt angles and the Dutch angles used in live video. So I thought that overall, from the cinematography to the score to the music composition, to a lot of the directing decisions in this movie, I thought it was fantastic. And to see, this is my first Spike Lee film. I really, really enjoyed his filming style, and to know that it was written, produced, and directed by Spike Lee, this is basically his baby. I was very impressed, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. So once again, without giving spoilers, I can highly recommend that you pick up Do the Right Thing. Whether you pick up this Universal 4K release or you pick up the Criterion edition, I don't think you can go wrong. And I think that this is a movie that's very important for everyone to see, especially during this time, because it shows us that the issues that we face are 1000% human-made, human-driven issues that do not exist until we create them. And I think that that's a very important thing for us to understand as human beings, and a very important thing for us to internalize and maybe reflect on our lives and see where in our lives, whether it's racially or whatever it may be, that we have issues with people, and trying to really figure out how we can solve these issues and how we can move forward in a peaceful manner and really enjoy what life is supposed to be about. So I will get off my soapbox, but that is very important to me. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think it's very important for everyone to see, and I can give it a high recommendation. If I had to give it a star grade or a letter grade, I would say that this is an A-, 4.5 out of 5 stars. The only reason that I would not give it a 5 out of 5 or an A+ is just because throughout the story, some of the times I felt like we were going a little bit all over the place. By the end of the movie, I did realize that that was part of the world. This movie is 100% about the world, not so much the story, although the story does play a large factor in the movie. So that was just my opinion on it, but I do highly recommend this. So go out and pick up or stream Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you are enjoying this, click the subscribe, click a like, do whatever. Support me in whichever manner you decide. I highly appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Be well.